Hi, my name is Sarah, and this is my channel, Knotty Gnome Crafts. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining me, and if you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today's video is going to be the second part of my series where I show my handmade garments, and today we're going to talk all about my handmade sweaters. So there's not going to be any sewing content today, and so if you're only here for the sewing, I will see you next time. But if you are interested in seeing what sweaters I have in my wardrobe, please stick around. So I don't know about you guys, but even though it's still August, my brain has already focused on fall and winter. Fall is my absolute favorite season of the year, and it's also my favorite season for clothing because I just love layering. And whenever I think about fall and winter, I always think about sweaters. So I went ahead and pulled all of the sweaters that I currently wear in my wardrobe, sort of, and we'll get to that. And I'm going to show you those today. And then my next video, I'm going to talk all about my plans for fall and winter knitting. So I've been knitting for a long time. I've started knitting in 2003, so almost 20 years, not quite yet. And I've made tons and tons of everything, but I've made lots of sweaters. The things I'm going to show you today are definitely not all of my sweaters. I don't have all of them anymore, but these are the ones that I do still occasionally wear. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my style and how it has evolved over the years and why I kind of want to add some new pieces to my knitted wardrobe for this fall and winter. And also, I just want to tell you that a lot of these sweaters are really old, so I'm going to do the best that I can to let you know what the patterns and the yarns that I used. However, I'm not going to be linking things down in the description box because with the Ravelry redesign, I actually get a headache if I spend too much time on Ravelry. So unfortunately, I'm just not going to be able to look up everything and link it in the description box. But if you have any specific questions about a particular sweater, the pattern, or the yarn that I used, please feel free to leave a comment and I will answer you on an individual basis. I just am not able to devote an hour or a large chunk of time to being on Ravelry because I know that I'm going to end up with a headache if I do that. So I appreciate your understanding. And let's just move forward. Before we get started, I will just share with you that I'm wearing my Friday Pattern Company saltwater slip dress, and it is very hot today, and so it's perfect for that. And yeah, let's just get into the video. I'm going to start with pullovers and then end with cardigans, and they're not in any particular order. I'm just going to grab from the top of the stack and show you what I have. Also, I will not be modeling these because it's just way too hot to do that, and unfortunately, because as I said, a lot of them are older, I'll put pictures in where I have them, but I probably don't have pictures for a lot of these, unfortunately, but I'll hold them up and show you as much detail as I can. So the first thing is actually the only sweater that I have knit so far in 2021, and this is I forget what the name of it is, but it's something really boring, like short sleeve sweater with diamond stitch pattern or something like that. It's from the book Vintage Knits by Sarah Dallas. And the yarn that I used is Jill Draper Esopus, which is a discontinued yarn. I've been trying to work through the yarns that are in my stash. That's really important to me. I haven't actually bought new yarn since 2019. So yeah, I finished this earlier this year and I haven't worn it yet because it's just been too hot. But I would say this is pretty reflective of my current style. I like generally solid colors and I like textures. The only thing about this sweater is that I forgot when I was knitting it that I meant to make it cropped, and so it is actually kind of a hip length sweater, but I think I'll be able to tuck it into high-waisted pants and skirts and wear it a lot in the fall and winter, or layer it over this dress even. And the only other thing I would say how this sweater is not super reflective of my style is that the color maybe is a color that I was more interested in a few years ago, but I don't think that it's bad. And as I stated, I am trying to use up yarn that's in my stash. So yeah, that's the first sweater that I have to show you. The second sweater, I can't remember the name of the pattern. I think this was a Quince and Company pattern. It's a drop shoulder pullover and it has 3/4 length sleeves and it has a V-neck in the front and in the back. And it's another hip length sweater, so it's not super long. So this sweater has actually been in storage. I don't think I wore it at all last year, but I went ahead and pulled it out for this year because style-wise, I do think that this is fairly reflective of something that I would wear currently. The only problems with this sweater is It's a DK weight. This is hand spun, so it's actually hand carded and hand spun. So I took a bunch of braids that were from my stash and I carded them all together on my drum carder and I spun the yarn and then I knit the sweater. So this is a very, very labor intensive sweater. I'm very proud of it. There's tons of different fibers in here. There's, different wools, alpaca, there's Angora, I think. There's a little bit of stellina, which is like a shiny, like metallic silver. Probably won't be able to see too much detail there. Yeah, there's just lots of different fibers. Because it's carded and the yarn is woolen spun, it's extremely warm, which is actually one of the reasons why I haven't worn it very much, because it's just too hot. The other thing that I will say about this is because it has a V in the front and the back, it wants to fall off my shoulders. Like, you have to wear a tank top underneath and then it still wants to fall off the shoulders, and I find that kind of annoying. What I was thinking about doing is possibly seeing if I have any more of this yarn, or maybe even just using a ribbon and just adding a ribbon to or ties to the back so that I can tie it up and it'll stay on my shoulders that way. I may end up doing that, I may not. But yeah, I went ahead and pulled this sweater out, even though I haven't worn it last year. It is reflective of the kind of style that I like to wear currently, so I'm gonna see if I wear it this year. I'll probably never ever get rid of the sweater, just because I am so proud of it that I spun the yarn and, carded the yarn, spun the yarn, and knit the sweater. It's one of the more labor intensive things that I've ever done, and so I am really proud of it, and I don't see myself ever donating this, but I don't know how much wear I'm gonna get out of it. So the next sweater, I'm pretty sure that I knit this one in 2020. I did not use a pattern. This is a very, very simple boxy moss stitch sweater, and it's knit out of a worsted weight wool, like an Ella Rae Classic, I believe. It's just like your basic, medium softness worsted weight wool. It has a rolled neck here. It has very, very giant voluminous sleeves. It is fairly cropped. It has a little split hem down here. So the thing about this one is it's pretty much what I intended it to be, but I overdid it on the sleeves. Like, when I wear the sleeves, they're pretty comically large. And I did want that, but I think that I just made it a little bit too big. Otherwise, again, like neutral color, basic texture, it's very much my style. And it is also really, really warm. I've sort of discovered that I need to stop making sweaters in worsted weight and make them in thinner yarns, because the worsted weight sweaters end up being super, super hot. But for those really cold days, this is a nice layering piece. And I do think that I'll wear it this winter. And yeah, that's my next one. So this next sweater I have to show you, I'm actually a little bit sad about. It used to be one of my absolute favorites. This is the Carytown pullover, and I think the designer's name was like Boho Chic Fiber or Boho Chic Knitter or something like that. And this is knit out of Madeline Tosh DK in this gorgeous colorway. So I actually fell in love with this color because it's the color of my dog Penny's coat. And I never used to really be interested in that shade of like reddish brown, but when I got my dog, I just fell in love with the color. I realized how beautiful it was, how much depth it has, and I absolutely love the color of this sweater. So I used to wear this sweater all the time, but last year I hardly wore it at all. I think I might have worn it 1 or 2 times. And the reason is it's a longer tunic length, and I used to wear this all the time over like faux leather leggings, or I'd wear it with like skinny jeans like tucked into tall boots. And I just don't really wear that silhouette anymore. So because this isn't cropped is basically the reason why I don't think that I'm reaching for it as much. But again, it used to be one of my favorites, and I'm not interested in getting rid of it. I think I might put it in storage, or I might leave it out this winter and see if I wear it, and if I don't, I'll put it into storage. So the thing about me and putting my sweaters in storage is that with sewing, I have no problems really. I don't get that attached to my sewing makes. So if I make something and I don't end up wearing it, I don't like it. It's sad, it was a time and money investment, but it's usually not that much. So I don't have any problem donating stuff that I've sewn. But knitting is different, because knitting is often like a multi-month commitment when we're talking about a sweater, and I just get way more attached to my sweaters. And so in my head, at least, it's like, if I'm not wearing this right now, I can put it away, my style might change again, and I'll get it back out. That's kind of what I think about. As long as I actually do have storage space in my house, I'm fine with putting things away for a few years and then getting them back out again. So that's what I might end up doing with this one, but I did really, really love this one, and I used to wear it all the time. The next pullover is from Tin Can Knits. It's a book called Strange Brew, and there's tons and tons of different color work sweaters in that book. I think they're all yoked sweaters, pretty sure. And I actually want to knit more from that book, but I'll talk about that more in my next plans video. But this is the one that I made. I can't remember the name of the pattern, but it is an all over design, and I used a worsted weight yarn, so it is a little bit hot. That's one of the downsides of it. And I did edit the pattern a little bit to have more balloon style sleeves. They're not super wide, they're actually like just right, where there's a little bit more volume, but it's not super poofy. And I really love the colors. I used a lot of different yarns in my stash, or I might have bought yarn for this. I can't remember. I think I may have actually bought yarn for this particular color scheme, which I really love. And it has a split hem and it's high-low, so it's longer in the back than the front. It is cropped in the front. And yeah, the only reason why I don't reach for this all the time is because it's super warm. But I do really like it, and I plan on pulling it out this winter. So this next pullover, I think that I should like this more than I actually do, and we'll get to why in a second. This is an Andrea Mowry design. I think it's called Wool and Honey, and it's knit out of a Knit Pick Stroll stock yarn. So I had bought like 20 skeins of this yarn because I was going to make an afghan, and then I decided not to make the afghan. So I'm like, what am I going to do with all this yarn? So I just went ahead and made it into a sweater. So this is another yoke design. It has texture, as you can see, and garter stitch. It has long sleeves, not too poofy. It is cropped. And so this style is very much in line with my current style, but I don't wear this sweater very much, even though I think the color is beautiful, because I just don't really like the yarn. And I don't know why, because it is still a superwash wool nylon blend. So like there's nothing wrong with it, but there's just something about the texture of the yarn that I don't like the feel of it. And so I don't really wear this sweater. But I'm gonna keep it in my wardrobe this winter and see if I can try to style it up and wear it a little bit more. Maybe layer it over something so that it's not directly against my skin. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't like the yarn for whatever reason. But yeah, it's another pullover and that I'm gonna keep in my wardrobe for this winter. So the last pullover that I have to show you is quite an old one. This was a custom fit pattern. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore, but custom fit was created by Amy Herzog, and it was the kind of program where you could enter your gauge swatch information, so your stitches and your rows per inch, and then you put in all of your body measurements, and then it kind of churns and spits out a pattern so that it does all the math for you and you can just follow the pattern. Now, I would say at this stage in my knitting career, I don't really need a program like that. I can just crunch the numbers myself. But at the time, it was very useful. I used a Madeline Tosh sock yarn for this, and I was just in love with speckles at the time. So this sweater is actually one of those that I made. I wore it for a while. I decided it wasn't my style anymore. I put it in storage, and I actually got it back out last year and started wearing it again because it is just a very classic V-neck pullover. It's pretty close fit. It's fairly cropped. The only thing that I don't love about this sweater is it has 3/4 length sleeves. I like the way that 3/4 length sleeves look on me, but as a practical matter, if I'm wearing it in the winter, my forearms get cold, and if I'm wearing it not in the winter, it's too hot. So I just really don't like 3/4 length sleeves for winter wear or really any time. It's just there's no good time to wear a 3/4 length sleeve sweater. So I do wish that it had long sleeves, but other than that, it's pretty much perfect. I would actually make another one of these because it's just so basic. But yeah, I pulled this out, and I do like this style because you can wear it on its own or you can layer it over like a button-up shirt, and it looks very like classic and preppy. So yeah, I'm eager to get this one out and wear it again. It is a fingering weight, and so it's actually like the perfect warmth level. It's not too hot, but it's not too lightweight. And yeah, I would really like to make more sweaters like this. Okay, so now we're going to switch things up and talk about cardigans. First up, I have the Swift River cardigan, which is by Mary Annarella, and I used Madeline Tosh Sport in the tart colorway. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm a huge fan of Madeline Tosh yarns. To be honest, it's not even about the base. I don't really like their base yarns that much because I find that they pill, but the thing that I am absolutely enamored with Madeline Tosh is the colors. These like semi-solid colors that just have the depth of shading. I just absolutely love that, and so I've used them over and over again for sweaters. So yeah, so this is an open front cardigan. It has garter stitch texture, and it actually has like this, it's really hard to show you, I'm sorry, but it has this like fold over collar that kind of turns into a pocket here. So it's a really interesting and unique detail. This is one of my favorite cardigans. I will say that as far as cardigans go, that's where my style has changed the most. I've really moved away from liking the open front, really long cardigans. And I'll talk about that more in my plans video the next time that I film. But I do still wear this one. I think that it's a great layering piece because it's a sport weight yarn. It's a nice weight. It's not too heavy. It's not too warm. And I just love the color. This is my absolute favorite color. And so I do plan on wearing this one in the winter. So this next one is the Magnolia Cardi by Joji Locatelli. I did modify it quite a bit. This is knit out of a Miss Babs yarn. The main color that is used throughout is like a wool silk blend, and then these little gradiated mini skeins were a little kit that's just, I think it's just superwash merino for the colors. And I kind of did this like stripe pattern with the different gradations, and it's another long open cardigan, and I added pockets, or there might have, I can't remember if the Magnolia Cardi had pockets on it or not, but at any rate, I have pockets on mine. And it's funny because the original, I think I would actually like the cardigan as it was originally designed better at this stage. The original cardigan was shorter, it was boxy, but it was shorter and more of a cropped length, and it buttons, and I left off the buttons and made it longer. So this is another one that I don't know how much I'm going to wear it because my style has changed, but I do still really like it. It's a nice neutral cardigan, and it has that interest with the gradient, but it's still like, it still goes with most things, if that makes sense. So the next cardigan I have to show you is I guess it's sort of my own design. So what happened was a couple years ago, I found a Topshop cardigan that I really liked. I purchased it from Nordstrom. It came in the mail, and it was knit out of the crappiest, most awful acrylic imaginable. Like, it just felt like plastic. I just hated it so much, but I really liked the design of it. So I ended up measuring the cardigan and taking pictures, like close-up pictures of the patterns, and then I returned the Topshop cardigan. And then I ordered knit picks, like superwash wool in worsted weight in the similar color. And then I just like made my own copy, basically. So it has this really cool, it has like moss stitch, and it has these, what are they called? Horseshoe cables? No, this is a different kind of cable. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it has cables, and then it has this like double cable design here. And the back has like a center panel. I'm not doing a good job of showing this to you, but it's another like textured long line open front cardigan. It has drop shoulders. The thing that I don't like about this cardigan is, number one, it's too hot. It's a worsted weight wool, and so it's very, very warm. And the other thing that was like kind of a silly mistake on my part was that I was so focused on measuring the original cardigan and like making my cardigan a copy of that cardigan that I didn't think about making a cardigan that actually fits me. So the original and my version, the sleeves are a little bit too wide, and they want to just fall off my shoulders. So I should have altered my cardigan to actually fit my body better, but I didn't do that. So it does want to fall off my shoulders because it's so heavy and like it's very weighty. But other than that, it's great. Yeah, I don't know, again, because my style has changed so much, I don't know how much I'm gonna get out of it this year, but I do still like it. I do plan on keeping it at least for this season, and if I don't end up wearing it, I'll put it in storage. So the final cardigan that I have to show you, it has been in storage. I haven't worn it for maybe a couple of years, but I just got it back out again. It's the must-have cardigan from Patons, and I had purchased it in a paper copy book called Street Style or Street Smart or something like that. And I think the pattern is actually available now for free on the Patons website. But it's a worsted weight cardigan knit out of a basic wool and in this camel color. And I again modified the pattern. It's originally supposed to be more of a cropped fit, and I ended up making it oversized and long. So it's not so much my style anymore, but the neutral color and the cables are absolutely beautiful. I think you may be sensing a theme. I really like cables. I just like texture in the winter. And I like sort of lush textures, and so I think that's why I like cables so much. But yeah, this is such a pretty cardigan, and it does button in the front, although I need to put on different buttons because the ones that I use are too small, and they don't, the buttonholes pop off very easily. So I just need to put some larger buttons on here. And because this is long and it's really hot, I don't know how much I'm going to wear this, but I do really like the style of it, and I like the color. So I decided to go ahead and get it out of storage and see how much I wear it this season and just sort of reevaluate from there. So that is my hand knit sweater collection. I think that if you watch this whole video, you will sense a theme that I need to come up with some different sweaters this year that reflect my style a little bit better, especially in cardigans. But I will be back in my next video to talk about my concrete plans of what I want to actually make this fall and winter. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. And thanks so much for joining me.